Here we go. Hey, it's June 18th, and I'm so excited because we've got an update on Anthony's knee coming right up. Anthony, how's your knee?
You have to wait. Glenn, I fell off a ladder 10 feet and almost killed myself, and I'm standing strong. So no little knee injury is going to take me out.
That's absolutely right.
Yesterday, I thought I had some big problems with my knee. As if you didn't watch the show yesterday, right as we were starting the show, I banged my knee into a piece of furniture really, really hard, and it was probably the most pain I've ever felt outside of breaking my ankle. And so I did the whole show on one leg, and then after the show, my knee was about the size of my head, and I was like, "Oh, I got a problem." And I really thought I was going to have to go see a doctor. And I woke up this morning, and I'm like 20 years old, ready to do a pole vault.
I love it. All right, we've got a great guest today, Mr. John Russell, the now CEO of RLH Corporation. But before we get to that, Anthony, breaking news that I just read about this morning. We've been talking a lot about Las Vegas and Cosmopolitan in particular. They put out new rules that if you're going to be at a gaming table without plexiglass, you must wear a mask. So they're
Nevada said that, or Cosmopolitan said that?
No, the state. It's a state rule now.
Thank God. But you know what? I'm so disappointed. And you know, me and you, we don't go after people on the show. That's not what we do. It's not what this is a new show. But I'm just so disappointed how they opened that hotel. I mean, from the second you stepped in until everything we saw on video, that just hurts everybody else. So that they have to do regulations in Nevada saying you have to wear a mask at the table. Now that hurts me, because when I go to the Wynn, okay, if I'm playing poker or blackjack at the Wynn, they don't have plexiglass at some tables. And if there's only two people at the table, I don't want to wear a mask, and I don't want plexiglass because I'm safe. I'm not saying me, I would wear a mask, but I'm just saying.
Right.
So it's just like you screw it up for everybody.
Yeah.
Kind of what's happening around the country right now in the other states. You know, New York is going down, thank God, and everybody else is going up.
Yeah. So we're gonna that'll probably come up in conversation. But now let's talk to the one and only Mr. John Russell. John Russell, great to see you, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Congratulations, you were interim CEO. You've lost the interim title. You're now the official CEO. So that must be great for you. Must give you a sense of clarity and help you in your mission to help bring RLH Corporation to the next level.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for the company. But I tell you what, these last 6 months have been like 6 years.
Right.
Why, John? Are things going on that you haven't? Well, first of all, before we talk about your career and what's happening right now, I just want to say thank you very much for your service. You know, I'm a big military guy, and I love this country, and I love our military. And you went to West Point, which is something, again, that people keep coming on the show, Glenn, flying airplanes, Air Force pilots, West Point, things I couldn't get in. You know, I got in the Air Force, but they gave me a typewriter instead of an airplane or an F-16.
That's right. Anthony, now you've really figured out my plan. The whole point of this show is to make you feel insecure about your military service.
Right. So John, no, but honestly, thank you for your service. And, you know, West Point's a great institution. And, you know, what you're seeing in this country, not to kind of, we'll go here first and then we'll go into the hotel, but what you're seeing in this country right now must be just, you know, it's hard for everyone to see what's happening. And I know in the military, I said when I was in the military, I saw something that I've never seen outside the military, where we all came together. And again, I'm not a minority. I'm not an African-American guy, so I don't know from their perspective. But I knew in the military, when you were in a bunker or you were living together, you know, my roommate happened to be an African-American guy. We were brothers. And so I didn't see any, I didn't see it, but I'm sure my friend felt it. So, like, going from West Point, being in the military, seeing what's going on with the social unrest in this country, I mean, how do you run a major company and how do you ensure diversity going forward?
Well, you're right about the military. You know, one thing I learned, we all bleed red. And it is a brotherhood. And even when you get out, and by the way, Anthony, even if you used a typewriter, you served your country in something that was important. So we all
those reports.
But you know, to me, running a company is no different than running a company in the Army or a battalion or a brigade. It's all about the mission. You know, what is, if as long as you can have the company embrace where you're going, what's your strategy, what's your vision, what's your strategy, what's your tactics? You know, in our case, you know, we're a franchise company and we live and breathe by the success of our franchisees. So everybody in this company should know what their job, how their job contributes to the success of a franchisee, whether it's revenue generation, putting more heads in beds, or decreasing operating expenses. So as long as everybody understands and buys into that philosophy, it works. But when it doesn't work is when you don't have a common message or a common theme or a common vision.
Right. Yeah. That makes absolute sense. So, what are you thinking about in terms of policies and procedures to put into place to help get you to the point where you could feel really good about that aspect of your company?
Well, you know, I think we might have talked about it a little bit in December, but it really gets.
Let me just do a show note for those of you who are interested. Go check back our podcast with Mr. Russell that we did on the Checking In with Anthony and Glenn feed back in December. You can check that out on iTunes and wherever you get your podcast. Please continue, sir.
Yeah. So, you know, as I mentioned before, we're a franchise company. So we do one of four things. And we kind of boiled it down to an acronym called ROAR. No pun intended, red line, ROAR, ROAR. But these are the four pillars, or the four paws, as like, you know, tiger paws, lion paws. One is the first R is recruit. Recruit new franchisees and sell to your existing franchisees base, because that's where the majority of your franchises come from the existing franchisees. And then O, open and onboard as quickly as possible so that the franchisee owner starts to make money. When they start to make money, since we're on a fee-based, we make money, the company. So then there's A, add value through programs that either generate revenue on the top line for the owner or decreases operating expenses, whether it's training, quality assurance, purchasing, revenue management, all those programs. And if they don't do one of those two things, don't do the program. And the last and probably most important of ROAR, the last R, is retain. Keep the franchisees happy, make sure they're successful. And if they're happy when their windows or their end of contracts come up, they want to stay in the system and they want to renew and stay as a family member.
So one of the things that you said is very important is keep the franchisee in the system happy and make sure that they're word of mouth so they continue to go on. Now, we know in the hospitality industry, there's some underserved communities, the African-American community, minority communities that have not had an opportunity and even know that there's a possibility to own a hotel. Is there any outreach to those communities to help them? Because like if you look at our Indian community, you know, they've done a great job with AHOA and they're really, you know, they're a big percentage of hotel ownership, but there's a lot of other minority communities that just don't even know that there's opportunities. Is there any outreach to really bring on new hoteliers?
Well, I think we do that, Anthony, and so does the American Hotel and Lodging Association. And you're right. We have, just for instance, women owners. We've got, I think it's 27 to 35. I think it's 27 of our hotels are actually owned by women. That should be a much greater number. There's great opportunity for ownership for women, African American, Hispanics. You're right about the Asian Americans. 85% of our portfolio is owned by an Asian American or Asian American family and friends of the family.
Wow.
So we do have outreach, and we work through a lot with AHLA, who's got some great programs. Of course, AHOA has some great programs. We believe in diversity. That's how, when I first came into the hotel business, or I should say my second opportunity, first time was with Sheraton, but then with Days Inns of America down in Atlanta. That's when we really started to realize the opportunity for us to engage Asian American, the Asian American community, because it was an opportunity for them to live the American dream, buy a hotel, help them get into business by, putting a flag on it to support them with revenue generation, training programs, et cetera, et cetera. And it blossomed from there. And I think it was 1988 when Mike Levin and H.P. Rama formed AHOA, the Asian American Hotel Owners Association. And then you've got the Hispanic Hotel Owners Association, and as well as the African American. So there are great opportunities, and in the diverse minority communities.
So, John, tell everybody what brands you guys have within our RHL. I don't know if everybody knows the brands that you guys have.
Yeah, RHL, sometimes people get confused. It's Red Line Hotel Corporation.
Right.
We have 8 brands, of those 8 brands, it goes from the mid-scale all the way down through to budget. So the 8 brands are Red Line Hotels, which are the bigger boxes. They started in the Pacific Northwest. Then we have Red Line Inns and Suites. We have RL by Red Lion, which is more of the boutique lifestyle type of property that's been very successful. We have America's Best Value Inn, which we acquired from Roger Bloss several years ago, and Canada Best Value Inn. We have Signature Inn, and Signature Inn really is focused on exterior corridor hotels. A lot of the older hotels have gone out of some of the bigger systems, and they don't know what to do or who to flag with. Well, we've got a program that it's what I call a cheap sheet.
Right.
That really makes it look pretty cool.
I love that idea of bringing back the old school properties that were on the precipice of irrelevancy by making them fun, more hip, more interesting to the younger consumer.
Glenn, what's interesting is you were on the precipice of irrelevancy until I made you cooler and hipper. Holy crap!
That is true. Oh my goodness, we got a lot in common there.
I kind of feel like those exterior corridor hotels getting older and nobody wants to be with you anymore. So
right.
But anyway, by the way, there are 500,000 hotel rooms out there in the United States today that are exterior corridors. They're in great locations because they were 20, 30, 40 years ago along the interstates and some of the destination areas. So we feel really good about the success or the potential success of that brand. Then we have Guest House Inn.
Right.
And that is, we've just made a move to make that our extended stay brand. As you guys know, during the pandemic, and I think we're seeing it now, extended stay hotels are doing very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got, let's see now.
Nights Inn.
So
Nights Inn, we acquired Nights Inn. So we got back from Wyndham. And Nights Inn's got a very, we're in 350 hotels in 50 states. And that's more of the budget category hotel. So we kind of run the gamut. We've got about 1,048 hotels in 50 states and in Canada.
Kevin Sanders called you an icon, an industry icon. We all know you're an industry icon. So the industry icon comes into a situation that is probably the most challenging of his career, of all of our careers, most challenging in the last 100 years. What is an industry icon double down on? What are you 100% sure of when you wake up in the morning? When you're like, you took over this company and there's no secret that the company was having challenges. Now the company's got even bigger challenges because our country has bigger challenges. The world's got bigger challenges. So when an industry icon, and I'll keep using that, wakes up in the morning and is now in charge of a company that needs help in this kind of environment, what is the number one thing you're sure of?
That's a great question. By the way, I don't like using the industry icon because
we do.
Because that really no. I tell you why I don't like that. Because when you think that way, then you can't be as good as you could be.
And that's good. You should never think that way. If you wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm an industry icon," you're probably not an industry icon. So that's good, right? That's your humbleness. That's your military background. Answer the question. What do you think about? What's the one thing you're sure of? I'm not letting you off the hook.
Well, the one thing I'm sure of is, and I don't mean to be trite about it, been there, done that, experience. In other words, I've been through similar situations. You know, when I came back to be the CEO for Days Ends of America, when Henry Silverman bought it for the second time back in the early 90s, when it was called HFS and then Sendit, now Wyndham, they had very similar problems. They had dissatisfied franchisees. The quality of the chain was not good. Franchisees were unhappy. They were leaving. And so, again, I kind of learned from my military experience, and I think I might have mentioned this before, guys. I can't remember. But I kind of live by a credo called SMEAC, SMEAC. Situation. What's the situation? Mm-hmm. You know, assess what's your challenges? What are your problems? Mission. You know, what is it going to do? What's it going to take to accomplish? What is the mission? Is it to improve quality? Is it to grow the brand? Is it to make the franchisees happy? What is the mission? Define the mission. So S, mission. And then E, execution. How are you going to execute to deliver on the mission? A is kind of admin and logistics. In other words, what are the resources that you're going to have to get to make a difference and to accomplish those goals? And the last one is C, probably the most important one, is command. In other words, you know, be a leader, hire people around you that help with your weaknesses and then amplify on your strengths. So I guess, Anthony, the short, and you're so right about the military, and I hate going back to it, but from my West Point days to the military in Vietnam, et cetera, really that kind of was the foundation when I went into business. And I've always kind of tried to live that in everything I've done, whether it was hotels or Century 21 or the Georgia Aquarium or Nilo when we launched Nilo as a boutique brand. So that's kind of my mantra. And I guess I would close out by saying what makes you successful is making other people successful. If they are, you will be.
Can't agree with you more, my friend. Can't agree with you more. With all the financial trouble that hotel owners are having, with the loans defaulting, and you know, and I know I won't mention them. There's some big companies, some big REITs out there just waiting, and they're going to grab a lot of hotels. How do you help a owner that's having challenges with their maybe current property to maybe have another franchise in a good market that maybe is a drive-through market, maybe it's near a beach or a park? What can you do as a company to help them? Because right now the number one problem in the next 6 months is financing.
Yeah, the number one problem, you're right, is liquidity. In other words, they got to keep the heat, light, and power on. They got to pay their mortgage. They got to do the basics to survive. So, and I'm sure we're not like we're like the other companies. And I must say to my friends and friendly competitors, I think we've all really stepped up to help our franchise community, whether it's Wyndham or Hilton or Marriott or Hyatt, Choice. We look to see, first of all, we got a lot of calls when this all went down, and when the PPP loans became available. We actually, I think our call volume went up 150, 200% right away to say, could you help us understand it, put us in, help us with the process, and which we did with HNLA, American Hotel Lodging Association, and HOA. So we kind of steered them, helped them apply for those kind of loans or other type of relief. But as a company, of course, we had the similar issues ourselves trying to survive, and we can talk about that later. But we reached out and we tried to give relief where we could. Some of it was fee relief on certain fees. Like I think there's 12 different fees we either suspended or did away with. We had a fee deferral program for your royalty and marketing fee for April, May, and June, where you didn't pay any of those fees because we knew you needed cash or you needed some liquidity to keep alive for you and your families and your employees. And then that is paid back over 9 months in starting July for the next 9 months. So we did that. We also developed a lot of training modules on sanitation and health, primarily geared because of COVID. Again, we work with our vendors who also really, really were supportive, and not just in providing some discounts on critical supplies, but also helped us put together some training materials, some webcasts on how to clean, what kind of products to use to clean, gave guidelines through HLA and AHOA and the International Franchise Association. So, when you say about coming together, you know what? You see the mettle of a person or a company during really tough times, or an industry. I'm so proud and having been a past chairman of HLA to see what HLA and AHOA did, to see what the NRA, National Restaurant Association, did, to see what the International Franchise Association, by coming together. And you know what? It was so great to sit next to your friendly competitor, and you hope the best for them, and they hope the best for you. And to me, that was, something I hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah, it certainly is one of those elements. We're all in this together. Spirit has been going through the hospitality industry for sure. But I think we're getting to the point now where everybody's going to need to figure out how to survive on their own. I will say, I think one of the strongest elements of your organization is the RevPack system. How are you focused on technology, perhaps as a means to help your hoteliers find more success and maybe make it off the bottom a little bit quicker than they would have otherwise?
Well, I think the key on that, Glenn, is, what I think we talked about this too before. Usually when a franchisee is not successful, either we've done a poor job in getting to understand what all the tools are in the toolbox and with programs. So we need, it's one thing having them, it's another thing explaining how to use them and why to use them, whether it's revenue management, which is a key thing right now.
Right.
Whether it's how to decrease cost through certain certain programs, understanding how to use your vendors and take advantage of the vendor programs that we have. And on the technology side, yes, RevPack is very important. Also, digital marketing, social media, extremely important. The website, understanding how to utilize the website that you've got. How do you utilize the OTAs to your advantage, not your disadvantage? So it's really, I think I applaud the folks that run Harry Sladich and the folks that run our franchise development ops group here. They spend, and I mean literally, and this is the head of franchise development, he spends 4 to 6 hours a day himself on the phone with franchisees. How you doing? How can we help you? Here are the things we can do for you. Revenue management. I get on the phones, I talk, but these guys are on the phones. And since we couldn't travel, we're doing a lot of things virtually. I try to communicate at least once a month with an all brand call for all the franchisees to say, here's what's going on, and then listen to their questions, let them, and we answer every one we can. And if we can't, we'll follow up and do it later. But I think communications is the key thing during, it should be all the time, but in difficult times, they need to know what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And I want to hear what's not working, because that's the only way you can fix it. So you need to know what the problems are. So it's been very difficult, not just for our licensees and owners, but it's also been a little difficult for their employees.
Right, of course.
And our employees. I mean, we really downsized pretty significantly during this time.
One of the things I was going to ask you before you just went off on that question, which I think really kind of answers my question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Your enthusiasm, your excitement, your training in the military, and obviously in the hotel industry is obviously evident. But one of the things that people say, yeah, he's an industry icon. He's been around for a long time. He's the guy, but he doesn't get it now. He doesn't get the changes now. He doesn't understand what's going on, not only in the industry, but maybe in America right now. He's the old guard. We need people that are like younger and fresh blood right now. And what you just did for me was you answered all those questions. But I think it's important to say that, because you are intuitive, you are listening, you are making those phone calls, you're understanding the challenges of what's going on today. And you're not thinking about, like you said before, about 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. What changes? And I think it comes back to your 4 elements, the 4 things that you find strength in. And you keep going back to that. So I just wanted, so again, you answered my question without me asking it, but if you want to continue, go ahead.
No, I think Anthony, and you do a good, and so does Glenn. You got to keep relevant, and to keep relevant,
That's right.
you got to keep learning. You got to keep learning. Yes, I'm not the biggest tech guru, but I tell you what, I've learned a lot in the last 6 months about technology, because technology is a tool and a platform for your success. If you put your head in the sand and do it the old way, you won't succeed. So you got to be relevant. You got to keep on top of what's new, what's going on, and you might not totally understand it, but you know what the outcome should be, and so you put the resources to that to get the outcome.
You know what? Thank you for saying that, because that is the number one leadership rule in life, right? Whether it be in the military or in running a company. If you walk in and you think you have all the answers, or you understand what that person's saying 100%, you probably spent too much time listening to them. If you get, like Colin Powell, who I love to death, he said he's a 7. He has 70% of the information, makes a decision. And if you wait too long, you make an informed decision. And we all make mistakes, but like it's when people go in and they try to understand it. It's like, well, I don't completely understand it, so it can't be good. And I think you just hit, to me, the ball out of the park in reference to go in, have an open mind. You don't have to understand it, but instinctually, does that make sense? And more importantly than that, are people enthusiastic, and do you have the right people in the position to trust to make that decision, even if you don't understand it fully? And that's a tribute to you.
So let me let's go forward and say, what are you thinking about travel this summer? How are you approaching that? Where are some of the bright spots that you see, and perhaps where could you see a little more improvement?
Yeah, I think as we had a little prior conversation, the good news about a lot of our properties, they're interstate, they're in secondary and tertiary cities, they're in drive-to markets, because they're value oriented, meaning budget economy and mid-scale. We're a good price alternative to some of our competitors out there. So I think what I see for the summer, first of all, people are getting back on the road. They feel comfortable in their cars. Mm-hmm. Now, RV rentals are up. RV sales are up. You're going to see a lot of that travel going to destinations, to national parks, to the beaches, open areas. We've been cooped up for 3 months, so people want to get out and see their family and friends and reunions. So we've seen an uptick in our properties, 40%, 50%. Some, as I mentioned earlier, a couple, like say the Island in Fort Walton Beach, sold out a couple of weekends. It's doing well during the week. So the leisure side of the business is doing pretty well for our type properties. What concerns me is on the corporate side and the meeting side, the exhibition side. For the bigger boxes, the bigger hotels, the urban hotels, it's going to be a slow build back, and it's going to take a while. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take a long while. I think it will.
Long while, 2-3 years?
Yep. I think it'll start picking back up in September a little bit. And everybody says this all the time. When we get a vaccine, things will change. Well, I hope it does change, and I really do, and I think we will. Let's pray that we have that vaccine by the end of the year. That will change things.
One of the things, again, the elephant in the room is we're seeing what's happening in the country. We were hoping that there would be the flattening of the curve. And in some states like New York State and other states, you're seeing it. And then in other states that maybe didn't get the memo, meaning they weren't suffering the way the other states were, you're now seeing tragedies. Specifically, I won't name the states, but they know who they are. And now they're going to double every 3 days. So the numbers that they're seeing now are at one state is at the height of what New York City was after it doubled. and doubled again and doubled again. And so they're hitting numbers that are literally our height, and they're not even close to their height yet. How does that affect the travel industry, not only in the country, but internationally? When you're seeing that, because people aren't looking at the United States, 50 states, they're looking at it. If you're in Spain or Europe, wherever you are, if you're in Asia, you're looking at America as America, not as New York and Arizona. So when they're seeing the spike, and you're seeing that we had the worst numbers we had as a country yesterday or 2 days ago. How is that? So let's, again, we didn't know what was going to happen 6 weeks ago. We see what's happening. How is that going to maybe put us back into first gear? We were going into second gear, in some places third gear, and now it looks like we're going back into first gear.
Yeah, I want to caveat one thing you say, because you're right. There are spikes, but let's kind of drill it down a tad. There is so much more testing, so that with the more testing that you have out there, people might have had this and didn't even know they had it. So the more testing you do, yes, some of those things are going to rise. So we got to be real careful about, one, why is it rising? Or has it been there all along and we didn't know it? Because now we're doing too much.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's scaring the crap out of people.
Well, it does. It's scary. And you know what? People, unfortunately, they vote with their heart. So if they think there's a possibility of getting sick, or their family member getting sick, or being exposed to it, I hate to tell you, but it will slow down the travel. And people will go to where, they will go to where there's, the areas that are safer. They definitely will. So again, and maybe if there is a true second wave, and it appears that there is a second wave out there, again, I guess we're going to have to go back to some other kind of, phases, retro phases that we went through the first time around.
Right. What are you looking forward to most in the future? I'd like to hear what you're feeling positive about, what you're excited about. Let's stop dwelling in the malaise of reality that we've been having there for a few seconds.
Well, I tell you what, if I had a wish list, I wish all our group meetings and corporate travel would pick up. I wish that people feel more comfortable getting on airplanes and trains and buses. And so, that to me is nirvana. Because, it rises all ships. So when the tide goes up, and that's what I hope for. I think we're all working towards that. Again, I go back to communications, education, and doing the right things. I hate to see. I hope this is just pockets, and I hope it stops. But if it doesn't, then we got to address it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we let you go, sir?
Final thoughts is, in my book, travel this summer.
Yes. Travel
this summer. Get out and see the United States. See some friends. See some family. You know what? Things will get better. They are getting better. I know we've had some issues. We always get through them. Do we not always get through them? We do.
We do. And thank you, John. Like I said, just the first day I met you, you and I connected in a ballroom. Where were we, in Vegas or something?
Yeah, we were in Vegas.
Yeah, and I remember when Glenn walked away from the conversation, he said, "Man, I hope that guy gets that position full time, because they really need him." And so thank you so much for giving us your time, and and good luck with the new gig. And you'll have a few challenges ahead of you, but you're the guy for the job. So thank you. And
I want to thank you guys, and I'm going to give you a sneak preview of something I don't know if Harry's talked to you, Glenn or Anthony, but we're going to do a virtual conference this year.
Okay. Oh. Wow. And, what is it going to be?
It's going to be in the fall, and I was going to try to get Harry before the call, but it's going to be in the fall, and we'd like you to do what you did before.
Great. Well, thank you.
We'd love to do it.
I know we had talked about having me host a general session again. Then I wasn't sure what the status was of the event, so it's good to know you're actually going to be moving forward with that event. And thanks so much. I guess we'll be talking about that with your team offline.
You got it.
Great. Thank you, sir. Take care.
My pleasure.
Have a good one. All right, that was excellent. So, what do you think? Should we just jump right into getting our friend Chris Green over here?
Yes, Chris, I am waiting for you. He can't come on until you play the Chris Green video. Go.
All right, here we go. Welcome.
My mic is muted. There we go.
Hold on.
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? You like Anthony?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Listen, can I do a shameless plug a little bit? We got some cool stuff in, so check it out, Anthony. Look, Chesapeake. See that?
Like
see that?
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yep. And then new hot off the presses.
Oh,
Chesapeake.
I love that. That's awesome hat, dude.
I want that hat. I like that hat.
On its way.
All right.
But yeah, we did these. These are really comfortable. Our people were struggling with.
They look very comfortable.
Very, very comfortable.
And you don't have to keep playing with it.
Yeah, it's very comfortable. I was struggling with the tighter masks and some of the the homemade ones. But I love these new ones. I'm going to be on a plane this week, so I needed masks, and I'm super excited to have.
Jamie's all kinds of jealous. She goes, "Whoa, Chris has a corner." Woo woo.
I'm thankful that you guys played that for me again. So man, that guy was good, huh? John Russell, he's good stuff.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. And listen, everybody's got challenges. So Chris, I asked that question, and I asked a couple difficult questions, and I don't think we get anywhere just asking softball questions. And I ask some tough questions sometimes, and I make my friend Glenn here a little uncomfortable. But
I like when you make me uncomfortable, though.
When we see what's happening, again, positive, we're all positive. But again, we're seeing pockets that are. I have friends that are that canceled their vacations because they were going to parts of the country that just not having it under control. So where are you seeing and are you seeing, because you have a vast, portfolio, are you seeing some slowdown in some of those states because of it peaking? Are you seeing that or no?
Yeah. I'm actually seeing reservations shifting to states that have less activity, less case activity. So
really, so they're staying within your family of managed properties, just moving from one to another?
Yeah, different locations around the country. And listen, our sales team and revenue management team are active on that. If they're getting a cancellation, we're offering package deals at other places to try and keep them in our managed portfolio. But people are moving around from some of the closed states or the states that are really struggling with new cases, or areas within the states. Like in Florida, you got pockets. You can go from Tampa, which is struggling right now, but you can go over to where I live, Jacksonville, very, very modest case counts. And
so let me ask you a question. The cancellation policies is what I'm hearing a lot from my friends. It's like, I'm afraid to book because their cancellation policy. Would it be possible for a company like you or another company to say 100% cancellation? You get 100%. If you cancel, I don't care if you cancel 2 hours before, 100% money back.
Listen, I think I've said this before. I'm pretty adamant about this. Right now, we need to be easy to do business with because there's no surety for people traveling. They're scared to book. And honestly, we don't have a ton of staff in the building. A lot of our services that we rely upon, getting that revenue to push through when we get the reservation and we start making plans for that, a lot of services are still closed. F&B is still closed. For me, a lot of banquets and events are still closed. I need room revenue, and I need people to come and know that if they decide not to at the last minute, it's okay.
You have that you have that as a marketing tool to say, we're 100% no cancellation fees up until the second you arrive. I think that is going to make travelers feel better.
It seems low risk, right?
I would book a vacation.
It's very low risk. It's very low risk, but the brands try to drive some of this.
Are you interrupting?
I'm sorry.
I said I would book a vacation to Italy tomorrow if I knew that next year, if I'm going next year, that if I cancel it, it's 100% refundable. I'm not doing it if there's if you do it this way and then you stand on one foot and you do a twist, and then maybe if you ask with 3 pleases and a thank you, we'll give you your money back. And if you book through a third party, good luck right now. If you book through a third party right now, I wish you the best because they're having some major challenges and they're losing some brand equity because people are pissed off that they're just as difficult to work with than they were pre-COVID. So is that something your company can come out with and say, no cancellation fees?
We certainly can. I mean, listen, we run branded and unbranded properties, so the brands have their own opinion on what should be happening. But like I said, I'm a huge advocate, and our revenue management teams know that we have flexible booking policies at all of our hotels right now to make sure. I mean, for example, we run the Showboat in Atlantic City, 1,300 room oceanfront hotel in Atlantic City. We need to be easy to do business with, right? You've got to have people that have got to make a choice. They want to get in their car and drive down, and I can tell you that they are right now. I mean, we're near capacity this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've got a ton of people coming in, and we're being very careful and cautious. And it's a big hotel, so social distance is easy to do. But then again, we have to be easy to do it. If they decide at the last minute they don't want to come or cases spike, we need to have the operational flexibility to spin back down our expenses, and then I don't know. It's just easy to do business with. Right now is not the time. We need to be welcoming as an industry for every single guest that wants to travel.
Right.
And let me just say, I've been having conversations with our team, one-on-ones with our whole corporate team about return to work. And I've got some team members that are just like, I'm just not ready to go back in an office, Chris. And you know what? That's okay. And that's just like our guests. Some are just not ready to get out there. And they may think they are, and at the last minute they want to change. But we need to be flexible. And
it's interesting. I'm actually, if I had an office to go to with my team, we're all over the country, but I would go. I would open up my office and I would go back, and I would social distance, but I would go because I'm in my fourth month now, and I am craving to get back at it. And one of the things I had a conversation with someone yesterday. We're getting ready to do a media blitz and do some interviews, and the question was, what are our hotels doing to keep people safe? And this is what I want to say. The hotels, for the most part, especially the brands, are doing a great job. They're doing an amazing job. And you can rest assured when you go to a hotel, you're going to be safe if you pick the right brand and the major brands. I can assure you that because we're talking to them every single day. People like you, if you're staying in a Chesapeake hotel, you're doing the right thing. And the question was, well, what happens if I go in and other people are doing the wrong thing? I was like, well, we're a free country. We're not the other type of countries, and you're gonna have challenges, but you can make a decision to go somewhere else, put your mask on, and stay 6 feet away.
Right.
I think that if you go to a hotel, like this is what we talked about the other day, or if I go anywhere and I see people misbehaving, I just stay away from them. I mean, I can still social distance from them, right? I can stay away. I can move around, restaurants, whatever. So people are not going to follow the rules. We have to do that. The hotel should be following the rules, and then we have our own responsibility to take care of ourselves.
So, Chris, another question. Sorry, Glenn, did you want to ask something?
That's all right. I was going to make a comment about office buildings here in New York City. There seems to be an issue because a lot of the major office buildings have been closed for so long that they might not actually be healthy enough to go back in because all the toilets need to be flushed every day. The sinks need to be run, this, that, and the other thing. And apparently that hasn't been happening. So there are going to be challenges ahead to actually be able to get us back to working in an office every day should we even want to. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, but if you're a good owner, just like in a good hotel, you're doing things right from the first time. Like in Vegas, my friend Mark, I called him up and go, Mark, how you doing, brother? And he's a vice president. And he goes, I have 1,100 rooms to make sure all the water is on today. He was running through New York, literally turning on the water. And he has to do that. He had to do that every 2 weeks. And then he had to spray things out. So he's a vice president, and he was really working hard. So if you have a building in New York City, the most valuable real estate in the world, and you weren't taking care of your maintenance and you weren't making sure your building was clean, I mean, you were always allowed to have somebody go in and do those kind of things. So that would be, to me, shocking. So, Chris, I'm going to ask you a question. You're not going to see it coming, but here it comes. You have three kings. No, I'm just kidding. You've been on this show.
All in, baby. All in.
You've been watching this show, and you've been on this show for months now. You've become a fabric of this show. You've become a big part of the show. What is the number one thing? Because I'm realizing how much I'm learning. What's the number one thing that you learned from this show?
Other than me being a much better host than Anthony.
The number one thing I learned from the show is something I think, and this is going to be maybe sound like a cop-out, but something I already knew is how close our leaders and all of our key people in our industry are as one industry, even though we're very fragmented. that we have at the root of everything we do, we care about people and serving others and protecting others. And when times are tough, we come together. This time is no different than, it's much different, but no different than 9/11 and the Lehman Brothers. And just like John Russell said, the way that leaders in our industry, AHLA and AHOA and all of them have done things for the broader industry, it makes me so proud to be part of this business, and reminds me why I do what I do every day.
The next question is for our audience. Please vote, 1 being not so good, 10 being really good, on Chris's shirt today. I give it a 10. What do you give it?
Listen, hey, this is one of my favorite golf courses.
Wait, do a full picture of Chris's shirt. Give him his own shot. There you go.
Look, I like it. And that's the Slammer and the Squire at the World Golf Village down here in St. Augustine, Florida.
There's a 12-year-old kid walking around without a shirt on today.
Oh, come on.
It's so great seeing the love between you guys here. It's such a beautiful, blossoming relationship.
How did I even create this? I mean, I'm just in awe.
Because I love you. And I respect you. More than I love you, I respect you. And I respect how, from the beginning, like, it was hard, man. I saw people breaking. And you were standing there, and that, to me, I will never forget that as long as I live. And I think you were a pillar of the show because we were watching you. That's what's great about the show. Let's back up, Glenn.
We're getting rankings, by the way. We're getting rankings.
No, this is really important. When you came on, me and Glenn were kind of bunkered in, and we were kind of just doing this as a service to everyone and saying, hey, we need to keep ourselves busy, our head in the game, and learn what's going on. You were dealing with the show and dealing with us while you were keeping a major company, the 8th largest management company in the country, afloat and having real things. And we saw some of those emotions come through on some days, but most of the time you had steel in your back, and it was great to see. And I think now that we're coming like 3-4 months, that's got to be spoken about. And I've got to acknowledge that we appreciate that. And that's why I think I give you such a hard time sometimes, because I admire you. If I didn't admire you, I wouldn't give you a hard time.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you moving us up to 8th. We're actually just outside the top 20. We're the 21st largest. But
you're such a loser.
I'm sorry. Hey, listen, we were number 100 in 2010. So we've done a lot of growing over the years.
Hey, as my daughter's principal, I called him up one day and I said, congratulations on being the 5th best school in New York. He goes, I don't wake up in the morning to be 5th.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Go ahead.
I got a question for you, Chris. I remember we had a conversation that I found really interesting a number of years ago, probably 2 years ago. And I was like, what is your plans when the industry goes down? And you said to me, well, in the down times, our business seems to blossom because there are a lot of folks out there that realize that they could use the help of the management company or feel that they want to move to a management company that has the capabilities to help them. Do you still feel that same way? Do you think you'll get past number 20 and get into the top 20 because of that this year? How are you seeing yourself positioned in the management company universe?
Yeah, I mean, I play the long game. I've always played the long game. We invest in our people and our resources. Like I told you guys on day one, we retained 100% of our corporate team through, and we still have 100% of our team on. We actually have executed 3 new contracts through the pandemic, and we're adding hotels. We had a new hotel in July the 1st, and then 2 more on 23 July. So we're actually growing out of it, and we're taking what's the long game, right? I mean, if you build your company and you invest in your resources, you invest in your people, and you play the long game, then you can spend time focusing on the future. So these hotels will come on with 0 revenue really to our company, but we're still going to service them like the Chesapeake way. And I think that that's the way we have to think about our business, right? We have to all think about the long game, because if you think about anything else, like right now, it's easy to get, like Anthony said, down in the dumps. I mean, if you've got the ability, focus on the things that matter, your core people, your core systems, the fabric of your company, what makes you who you are, and then push through. I mean, this is going to suck for a while. And I'm sorry for the graphic language, but it's just how I feel.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. We don't.
You're really living on the edge there, using the word sucks, man. You're really. It's not like you use the word. I almost said it, but I don't want to make you.
I know. Mrs. Green, get that bar of soap.
So Chris, I don't know what you were doing yesterday. Probably practice your poker game, but we had Joe from Snow Operating on yesterday. And I don't know if you heard him, but I could have listened to that guy talk for hours and days and weeks. He was a guy that worked his way up, built this. As a matter of fact, he now runs the only North American indoor ski slope that you probably heard about. here on the East Coast. And as he basically, and his rent, you don't even know his rent, as he was building his company and he just bought a hotel, it basically everything happened, right? And he said, he goes, I lost $1 million, basically day one. And he goes, isn't it cool I had $1 million to lose?
Yeah.
He's like a poor kid that never had anything.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love that mentality. He's like, because somebody listening said, oh, here's another rich guy, he lost $1 million. It's like, I lost $1 million. The only $1 million I had, but it was cool I had it to lose. And I think that that's the mentality you have to have, man. As long as you have food on the table for your kids and a roof over their heads, and a lot of people don't, and then that's why we have to do better, and we have to make sure that we're doing what we can. But at the end of the day, having $1 million doesn't mean anything if your family's not safe and you don't have a container of milk on the table, and people around you and your community and your business doesn't. And that's why, again, getting back to our charity, USA Hospitality Strong, is really important to us, because we're holding on. We've raised, I think, $8,000, and we haven't dispersed any because we're waiting a little bit. We're having a meeting today, but we're waiting a little bit to get a little bit more money and really wait until people really need the money. Because right now you have unemployment, you have the PPP money, there's some services, and when unemployment is going on and hotels are opening but they're not hiring back the staffs and people are really struggling, it's really needed. So please go to USA Hospitality Strong on GoFundMe, and please donate. It goes directly to the hospitality workers. And Chris, thank you for your donation.
No worries. Hey, I need to address this because when I'm on, people are constantly doing this. So in the background there, you see Bobby Bowden, and then you see a poster that says Champs. I'm an FSU guy, so the Gators thing's not going to happen. It's never going to change. Sorry, never going to hear the chomp from me. I had needed to address that publicly. So
I don't know what that controvery is.
That's football. That's Florida football. Florida State versus.
My girlfriend went to that school when I was a kid, but I'm just saying, what was the problem? Oh boy, that's the problem. That's a problem.
So
what is that a tattoo of? Glenn?
Yeah. I had no idea he had tattoo. I'm really surprised. Wow.
What was that? The mascot? I didn't see it.
Yeah, that's the Seminole head, the Chief Osceola. Hey, I want to address what you said, and I want to say this to the broader hospitality community. Listen, what the guy said from Snow Resorts, and what I told my wife when I came home, because I'm a forecaster. Glenn knows this. I look at numbers all the time, and I said, listen, this could be bad. This could be difficult. This could take a lot of everything we've worked for and wipe it out. And first of all, I love my wife, and she said, we'll be fine. But here's what I'm going to tell everybody in hospitality. I was a GM of a hotel. And I loved being a GM of a hotel. I was a HR director, and then an AGM, and then an F&B guy, and then a whatever. But here's the deal. Once a GM, once an F&B director, if you're good and you're dedicated and you're aggressive, you've always got a job. And that's what I knew. I knew that, hey, if everything went sour, Chris Green could be a GM again somewhere, and I could take care of my family. This is the best industry to be in, because once you know it and you're good at it, there's so much opportunity, even in tough times.
I agree, Chris. And whatever you do, if you become a GM again and I become a GM again, don't become a GM in my market, because I will show all your weaknesses.
You will? That's funny. Nobody was ever able to do that before, so maybe you could be the guy.
I love it. I think we got to put together a competition where we have two hotels across the street from one another and say who can operate it better.
I would love it.
It would be like our poker game. I talk a good game and I get crushed.
Yeah, speaking of the poker game, we got a question. When is the next tournament going to be taking place? We're still figuring that out. And by figuring it out, we mean we haven't gotten to it yet. But I promise we will get to it.
David's probably listening. David, can you figure that out, please?
Yeah. All right. I have a 1 o'clock conference media call with a major hotel brand. So I'd love to be able to wrap this up right now.
Can you tell me who it is off Kramer?
I can. Okay. All right. So any final words for today, Mr. Green?
Nope. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the guest list is insane. I mean, CFO of Hilton last week and the head of IHG.
Oh, can we announce our big one? Can we announce our big fish coming on soon or not yet?
Who? Harris Rosen?
Yes.
Yes, you can announce that Harris Rosen is coming on.
Harris Rosen.
Well, he was supposed to be on when we were in Vegas, and I was with you guys, and our tech melted down. So he's one of the people that we had to apologize to.
We screwed up Mr. Rosen's interview. We get Chris Green. He's got a video and everything, but Mr. Rosen, we screwed that up.
Hey, listen, we screwed Bruce Haas. We screwed Mr. Rosen.
Hey, why don't we do this? Jeff, why don't we challenge you with doing a little video for Mr. Rosen for his intro?
I'm just proud of you guys. You guys are crushing it, and thanks for having me. And thank you, Anthony, back to your point about letting me have a cathartic experience of sharing what I'm going through and being real with everybody here. It's been great for me, too, to just talk it out.
You know, and I love what you said. It's important for young people to know that, especially young married couples. It's like, hey, hun, see everything around us? It may go.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll still have a roof and we'll still have milk in the refrigerator because I'm going to work my ass off to do that. But it may go. And that's going to be okay. And I've had those conversations as well. You know, not only now, but, you know, before now. Because as an entrepreneur, you know, when you're doing well, you're like, everybody looks at you and go, oh my God, how did he do that? And when you're not doing so well, people are like, oh, poor bastard. But, you know, I don't think in those terms. I think in terms of we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, we're going to be okay. That's what we should end on today. We're going to be okay.
We are going to be okay. And for the record, I do not keep milk in the fridge. I do not understand drinking milk at all. It's freaked me out since I was a kid. I couldn't even handle chocolate milk. That's it.
You remember like drinking milk was like your life depended on drinking a container of milk a day?
No, I would drink it and I would be disgusted by it. And then I would watch the Brady Bunch and they'd all be eating milk with their dinner. And I could not relate to it at all.
Marsha Brady.
All right, guys.
All right, Chris, we'll see you next Thursday because I know you're going to be out and about next Tuesday, right?
So, be safe.
Take care.
Right, excellent. Be good. All right, Anthony, that was great. Sorry, I was not very chatty today. I had some mic issues and all of that. But
I was in the mood to just take over the show, and I did.
Thank
you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody, before we go, shameless plug for our Hotel Reboot. Please join us at Hotel Reboot. The first one, redesign and redevelop, is really important for you to be at. Check out more at hotelreboot.com. We've got amazing folks on there, including Kay Lang. She's an amazing designer. Ron Swidler of the Getty's Group, and he's going to be discussing the hotel room of the future and actionable insights that you have. David Rochefort, of course, the president of Graduate Hotels, and Ron Kim of Prospera, who has a bunch of hotels in the Anaheim resort area.
You know, and also, this isn't like a webinar, a boring webinar. This is real tools, real information. He's basically bringing a conference online and doing it in a real way. And I'm proud of you. And
thanks, man.
One day, I just look forward to that invitation.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you having more great stuff with Hospitality Success. Why don't you tell us about that real quick?
Hospitality Success, you know, it's funny. We were talking to our guest today. There's a lot of changes. And one of the things Hospitality Success does is we help you through those changes, especially if you're going to leave a brand. If you're leaving a brand, go to Hospitality Success. We help you through that transition. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, there's some owners reaching out to us to take over their hotels. And so go to Hospitality Success. And I don't mean taking over their hotels like to help them manage it, but like just giving us the keys to their hotel and saying, you know, please, you know, help us out and take over the debt and whatever. So there's so many opportunities, so many things going on, so many challenges. Go to Hospitality Success. Please take a look at us. And we're not a management company. We're a learning company. HospitalitySuccess.com. Glenn, thank you. I know you have 1 o'clock.
Thank you. Yep. All right, guys. I want to thank you all for being here. Subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 6686. And remember, everybody, you've got one life, so blaze on. And
thank you so much for checking in.
see you all tomorrow.